738 people. So we're doing good. But we had 120.
We're live.
How many cases are we at in East Bridgewater right now?
As of day before yesterday, only 10, but I think we're up another 2 right at the moment.
Wow.
You can start the meeting whenever you're ready, Brian.
I'm ready. Zach, are you ready?
Start now.
Do you want to wait for Michelle?
Might be nice.
Yeah.
By caller?
We might as well. Oh, she just signed in.
Ah, good. Hi.
Am I late?
Yes.
6:01.
This conference will now be recorded.
We are going out live on cable at this time.
Okay. So is everyone here?
I think so.
I
I've
think
got
so.
Dan, I've got Dave, I've got Chris, I've got you, Melissa, Rebecca, Tim.
Tim Kramer.
Yes,
He's
Hi.
on. He's here.
hi.
Oh yeah, I see his, you have it. It's not TC, it's something else.
CO caller. He's
Yes,
on
I
a
got
telephone.
I'm very untechnical.
As am I. This is crazy. I like that up in your face business there. But, all right. So let's call the meeting to order. Today is April 1st, hard to believe. 2020 at 6:03 or something like that. So, all right. So tonight we wanted to kind of finalize the capital projects for the year. In light of recent events and the economy, I think we need to take a hard look. Brian, did you want to talk about your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Just
I
might
don't
be better.
anything substantial at the moment. We look at history. Back in 2008, local aid was cut 20%. That was the largest cut in local aid ever. Previous to that, the last cut in aid was after 9/11, which took a 5% cut in local aid. We have reserves. We have the ability to weather a storm. My recommendation would be that anything that I use from free cash at town meeting, we would stall the purchase as long as possible to hopefully get past the first quarter. And if I needed to, we could go back and reverse some of those votes and use the money to cover deficits. Some things we probably would lose if we decided to go too far, like for example, the paving article at 501,000. In order to not lose the summer paving season, we would need to issue those contracts shortly after town meeting approved that budget, or we would have to wait till the spring before we could do paving. not entirely terrible, but I need to buy some time to find out what the state is going to do. The current thinking is a 3.2 to 5.3 cut in local aid unrestricted. That would be roughly about $250,000. I can handle $250,000. Not great. I hate like upsetting my Apple cart because I've got it the way I want it, but we could handle that. If the cut was 20% of total aid, I'd be looking for somewhere around $3 million. So there's two thoughts that I would have to defer to not only the finance committee, but the board of selectmen, whether we would then go to stabilization, because if you don't touch stabilization in a pandemic, when would you? We have stabilization money. That's what it's there for. We could use that. I think it could be a combination of all, all factors. Cutting discretionary spending, hopefully not doing any layoffs. It was pretty hard to attract a team. It would be pretty hard to disassemble it that quickly. So we want to do people first, and equipment and discretionary spending would be on the guillotine first, but people would be hopefully the last place we would go. That said, my gut feel at the moment is we need to prepare a budget based upon what we know, not what we guess. And so we should look at the capital requests that we have and at least have a game plan. If I have to make changes in the budget before the town meeting takes place, question is, will we have town meeting on May 11th, or will we be postponing town meeting? If I postpone town meeting, that would give us more time if we had to make an adjustment to the budget. If we went with town meeting on May 11th, which is a week after the advisory to stay home expires, I would vote what we have in front of us, and most of the spending wouldn't occur until July 1 anyway, so we'd still buy some time. If they extend the social network, distancing and all the requirements to stay at home into, let's say, June, I may skip the ability to have a town meeting before the fiscal year starts, in which case we would go to the 1/12 budget formula, which is what the state is proposing. And we would be able to spend 1/12 of last year's budget every month until we could have a town meeting and pass a budget. The other thought I had is you do a town meeting sometime in June. If the situation isn't clear about what will happen to state aid, you vote the operating budget and you hold all the capital articles. A lot of moving pieces, I'm afraid.
What did you say? A lot of
A lot
moving
of pieces, I'm afraid.
Yep. So I guess, does it make sense for us to, I guess, with what's in front of us, categorize everything as
I
to
would
what we
say-
want to hold off on, or does it make sense for us not to do anything? We have our list. We have things that we commented on last week about that we really don't want to do.
Right.
I know there was a couple of
What you're
outstanding
saying is, even if we vote to move something on to town meeting, and even if town meeting approves it, we have the ability to go back and not
Yes.
spend that money as allocated later on.
Yes.
So based on that, what would be our motive to not push it forward now?
I think you got to work with what you got. This is what we know now. And then if that changes, then we have to reconvene and maybe reassign priorities based on whatever the government tells me we're going to get for local aid or not. We've been declared a disaster area. There's going to be economic stimulus money. My gut feel at the moment is we're going to get a cut in local aid, but it's not going to be that dramatic.
Quite frankly, we, just as you said, we were gonna originally spend $1 million on capital. If we can, take, just by taking out the paving for the year, if we had to, we're cutting it in half. So that would be a safety net right there.
Right. And there's some other buying I could postpone. I can postpone the police cruisers, which is $155,000. you know, we could postpone the electrical projects, which is $400,000. So I can create a working fund of money if I need it. And the state has already told us that should the situation arise, that we could just let the money be unappropriated, meaning that in the normal sense of the word, you reappropriate your free cash or you put it into stabilization. But they are allowing us to not appropriate the money and carry it into free cash and then have a special town meeting and appropriate from free cash in the new fiscal year. So it's a little bit of an exception. So if we know that it's going to be a hard landing as opposed to a soft landing, we'll be able to go back and reappropriate what we do not spend.
Okay, so let me ask this, this is just an example, and I know we had, it's not even really in our list because the fire department is going to pay for their ladder truck themselves, but they were also going to borrow from the stabilization fund.
Yeah.
And then pay it back. Does
Yeah.
that make sense to hold off on this for 6
No,
months?
not really,
or
because right now
do
the
you
ambulance
put it in the
fund is
order?
doing quite well.
What was that, Brian?
The amount of money that we would have to borrow from the capital stabilization account is 550,000. And based upon the preliminary numbers from the ambulance right at the moment, we're unfortunately having a very active time, more active than the predictions were going to be. So there probably will be more money in the ambulance revenue fund.
Okay,
Besides, in a weird sense, the truck's built and they want to sell it to us at a lower price. I'd like to
Oh.
grab it while we can.
no, definitely. I just didn't know what your thoughts were on
Yeah.
that because I know that he had mentioned there's one down in Alabama, Louisiana, ready to go. But he didn't know that if we didn't jump on it, we wouldn't get it. So just wanted to know thoughts on that. What about our favorite subject, the street sweeper? I mean, that we were talking about using Chapter 90 money, do we put that off again?
That's a good point, Michelle.
We'll get the chapter
Michelle-
90 money. We have a problem in the street sweeper. No matter what happens to the economy, we still have a requirement under the MS4 permit to sweep the town 2 times a year. Every time we do it, it's $40,000. So if we own the street sweeper, your first year, you've saved $80,000. The
Are
chapter
we
90
paying someone else to do that now?
we're paying somebody to do it now on a contract basis, yes. Okay, we would take that money back in-house. Now, there's 80 grand right there. So, and
Who is
and
that?
other thing I want to make sure that you guys understand. If we don't go to chapter 90 as the financing source, this comes off the list of purchases for town meeting because it's paid for through the grant money. So that purchase does not have to be approved by town meeting.
And we can use Chapter 90 money for this, right?
Yes. Yep.
Brian, who is doing the roads now? The power sweeping?
I don't know the company's name, but I can get it for you.
How long have we been doing that sweeping?
3
Contracted?
or 3 or 4 years right now we've been doing it.
Really?
Yep.
Do we just borrow someone's machine and do it with our guys, or does a
No.
different?
I think
Yeah.
it's time for us to get the sweeper.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just, I'm just trying to see where we are in the, I guess, kind of the grand scheme of things of what, what we need to do to, do we still have the $1 million, Brian? I guess, we could go through and vote all we want and then delay as necessary.
Okay, so let me tell you what I would delay if the economy really is going to be a problem and my state aid gets cut. I'll delay the purchase of the police cruisers. I will delay the Mitchell School auditorium lighting. I will delay the video surveillance project. I would delay the mitigation account. I would delay the road repairs. I would delay the electrical improvements. Right there, I have not spent over $1.3 million.
Okay,
Just in those articles alone. And, so, and of course,
Brian, I think if you postpone the road improvements, they're gonna just get worse. It's gonna
Well,
cost.
the problem is this. Um, You're absolutely correct. The pavement management plan says you're gonna spend X number of dollars a year to fix your roads. And the way the pavement management plan is you're preventing bad roads from getting worse. And in other words, you feed your winners, you starve your losers. If you have a failed road, you don't spend a lot of money to make it an A road again. You spend a little money to make it a D instead of an F. And you spend money on B roads to keep them at the top of the B. You spend money on C to make them a B, that kind of thing. If you delay your maintenance by a year, it's going to cost you more later.
Correct.
So I'm not saying that we don't do the road issue, but I would delay the spending from the summer to the spring. If I had to. I'm not saying I have to.
In my opinion, we should just stay with the $1 million budget as planned and go from there.
Okay.
I agree. This is Dan. I think there's a lot of uncertainty. But I would say tonight I would recommend we vote on what's been presented to us. And I mean, this is just my guess. In all likelihood, I don't see how we have town meeting on May 11th. Or that you get a quorum there of people shortly after stay-at-home order is lifted. I don't think most people aren't walking into a crowded auditorium.
Can I
So
pick and choose?
we'll have time to revisit.
I don't
If there's a,
I don't,
if
it's,
there's a mechanism to pull all this back, I don't understand why we wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with voting on tonight. I think at last meeting, there was a couple of outstanding questions. I know that we had talked about towards the end of the meeting going with the more expensive or option 2 of the video surveillance program, right?
yes.
Brian, you were gonna confirm something, and I think in the lighting
So we're gonna talk about the one from my notes, we
and
were
the
gonna
rug,
talk about the rug is,
the
the rug
rug and
is out.
facilities.
yeah, it's gonna go into the facilities budget. We have to negotiate with the schools. But that's gonna go into the facilities budget. Clearly doesn't belong in the capital budget. And we, if I recall correctly, we were in the same neighborhood. We ditched the radios. So those are gone. So what we're looking at,
Radios for the police department?
no
mean,
radios for the
No,
school.
for schools.
Yeah, we had, yeah,
Could we maybe go right down the list and have a quick discussion and vote on each thing?
sure.
So
Okay, so the first one was the town hall renovations, 30,800.
Skip over.
Wait a minute. Are you skipping it because of the economic situation, or are you skipping it because you don't agree with the spending?
The economics, I would say.
I would ask you at this moment not to consider the economics, because I gotta put together a budget based on what I know, not what I think. So we get, hard numbers from the state. I'm not making any adjustments to the budget. I'm coming up with ideas, but I'm not making any adjustments. So if you'd normally vote for the town hall renovation, I'm encouraging you to do that
Okay,
and not to react to the economic situation just yet. Know that everything's fluid, and I may have to come back to you and say, these are the changes we need to make. And then we can go back and kill off things we find unnecessary.
so we should vote like we have comfortably the $1 million and whether we would approve it or not.
Correct.
So I actually had at last meeting that we approved we agreed on the town the town hall renovations that we wanted to include that. Is that different now?
I would be for the renovations.
yeah, we did start to go down through things and then we kind of stopped halfway and Brian was going to put like an Excel sheet together, I think.
I've got my spending plan, so I'm comfortable telling you I can afford everything you asked for last meeting. And I did not put in like the town hall signage because that didn't have support. I did
Right.
not put in the radios and I did not put in the carpet. Okay, so all of those are gone. Everything else I can fund. The way
What
I
about
funded it,
the lighting too, Brian? You were just gonna check on that,
the lighting too,
whether it belonged in capital or facilities?
the lighting the facilities can't handle that number.
Okay,
Because we got it allocated. The carpet's gonna be an interesting question, but I've been talking with the superintendent about how we cover that. I think we have figured out a way. But if going down the line, I can cover out of free cash, I could cover the town hall renovations, the air conditioning in the police station, the sewer connection, for central school,
mhm,
the tasers for the police department, the police cruisers for the police department, the smart boards for the school department, the Chromebooks for the school department, the auditorium lighting, the lecture hall video processor, the switches and UPS devices, and the video surveillance project. I can do all of those out of free cash. On the chapter 90 financing of the street sweeper, I can do that, but I also want the capital budget committee to recognize you won't see it on the warrant at all because of the funding source.
right, because we're using the night, right, that was just a capital project that we need to vote on itself,
Yeah,
but that it wouldn't be on the warrant. Okay,
correct.
Brian, what is the
I
dollar?
want to be real honest with you. If the worst case scenario is that we get a tremendous cut in local aid, I'm going to come back to you and say, let's prioritize or kill or postpone some of these projects. But at the moment, I don't have any information on that. So I'm asking you not to consider that in your deliberations.
Brian,
okay.
how much is it totaled on those things that you said?
It's funny you should mention that. I was just looking at that. Hold on one second. I'll bring it up.
In the video
Around
surveillance,
1.1 million, isn't it?
Little bit
You know what, can you elaborate a little bit more about the video surveillance and the necessity of that?
Yeah, we currently have inferior, wait a minute, I want to be careful because we're public. We don't have as good a system in the town hall as we should. Our servers don't connect so that remote access to the cameras is impossible for, let's say, police department. And we want to tie in cameras eventually. The big master plan is that we would tie in the cameras at the community center, at the highway garage, the town hall, the fire department, the police department, and the schools into one universal server. This starts the program by buying a server big enough to accommodate that and tying the town hall cameras into that server and giving remote access to the police department.
Would it not be helpful for maybe doing one of those at a time, one option at a time?
We are doing one option at a time. We're buying the bigger server and connecting town hall. And that's all it's gonna do in the 84,000.
Okay, so the 64,000 is eliminated, so the 84 is it both together?
It pulls together the town hall building. All of it. Did I
Okay,
lose some?
so what is the total then for those things we talked about?
Sorry, got sidetracked. Hold on a second. I gotta open the spreadsheet.
I want to say it's like 918,000 if I remember from last night, Brian.
Not including the paving, which I have another source of money for, 668,000,
776?
right. And add another 500,000, so we're slightly over 1,000,001 and change.
1.169.
Yep,
So that's quite a bit over the million.
yeah, it's not terrible, though. I can handle it.
Okay,
So that is 12 things with the roads?
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 things. Yep.
Okay. And then you said that the sweeper's gonna be chapter 90.
We will go into chapter 90 and this is the anomaly because it comes out of grant money, it doesn't have to go before town meeting. So, but you're the capital budget committee, you need to know we're buying $250,000 piece of equipment. You know, the funding sources. We'll do it.
And then the only other thing is the fire truck.
The fire truck, yeah, that's
But that
million.
doesn't go on there either, right? Because it comes out of the ambulance fund?
Yeah, that's gonna come out of the ambulance. It is still a capital item, but the funding source is the enterprise fund and the capital stabilization fund.
And then the water upgrade system in the water main. That,
Those are actually be borrowing from the water enterprise fund. And that would be but the trucks that they wanted and the water main project would be bonded.
so we basically have 4 different votes here, correct?
Yes,
So you recommend we can basically afford all of those things under
Yes.
each of those 2 funding sources.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So. All right, so does anyone else have any comments or questions on all of the items, thoughts before we vote, I guess?
My, my only concern on the sweeper is that we are possibly given a thumbs up on a $250,000 piece of equipment that the town isn't going to be able to vote on.
I wanted to make sure that you understood that it doesn't go before town meeting for a vote. So basically,
No,
you are the representatives of the town at this point.
Right. That's a concern.
And it doesn't go there because it's on chapter 90 money? Brian?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the question.
It doesn't get voted by the town at because it's on chapter 90 money?
That's correct.
I'd be willing to vote for it if Brian was gonna fulfill GPSing if it can get done.
GPS is on my list. I want GPS.
Okay,
So if we did, if we took the sweeper out of chapter 90 money and put the roads in and put the sweeper out to the public to vote, well, that's just going to screw up your numbers then.
Well, I don't have a funding source for a quarter. I mean, the roads
Right.
are chapter 90, but we're at the extra 500,000 is supplemental to the chapter 90 road money. It's not either or.
How much is chapter 90 this year?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I think it's somewhere around 370,000.
Okay.
And the payment for the street sweeper, how much was that each year for 3 years?
He wants to do it over 5 years. So it'll be
So-
50 grand a year.
50 grand?
Yep.
yeah, I have that actually.
So you still have like $320,000
Correct.
for the roads?
Yep.
Okay. I'm good.
It's time to get it. It'll look good in the parade.
I want to drive it.
Right. All right, so then why don't we do this? Are we ready to vote? Or do you still have concern, Tim?
I've got a concern on that one only because I don't want I don't want to be one of 7 or 8 of us here that are making a $250,000 call. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And I understand the need for it, Chris. It makes sense, but that's, I don't know. Anything that large, I think, if I'm a taxpayer at home, I'd want a yay or a nay on that, I think.
I understand, you know what, I do understand that, the Environmental Protection Act makes it so you do have to sweep twice a year. And I don't like that we're spending $80,000 to have an outside source. So we have
That I agree.
employees, but we have employees and a lot of them. And I would like to see somebody's butt in the sweeper.
Right, I mean, the outsourcing alone, as Brian mentioned, I think we want to get that back.
I
in.
never knew we outsourced that. I was on the finance committee not too long ago, and I'm around town. I don't think I've ever seen a street sweeper from out of town in town.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have either, to be honest with you. And I don't remember seeing my street get swept twice a year. Huh. Just saying.
I don't want to throw stones out there, so I'm gonna vote the way I feel. Again, if it was $20,000 a year, that might be one thing, but the roads are kind of an important thing, and Chapter 90 money, I think, was designed more for maintaining the roads versus capital equipment. But I don't know, Brian, have you seen this in other municipalities where they use Chapter
Yes.
90 money to buy?
Yes, it's quite common.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's, from what I heard, I think it's time we.
Michelle, I think we should vote on the, the first 12 that Brian said
For
first.
5 years, it's 55,000 a year out of the Chapter 90 money. Yeah, the 3 years 88, but the 5 year is 55. Per year. I can't really hear you. Somebody has feedback. Is that you, Tim?
Hello.
Yep. The only thing I would ask is, as I'm taking the notes for these, I know most of these we're paying out of free cash or an enterprise fund, but I believe Brian said that the water main project needed to be bonded.
Yes.
And I know from last year being on the committee, I was told that the meeting minutes have to be very specific, I believe, to be able to turn into bond counsel, and whoever Melissa has to bond it through. So I just want to make sure when we vote on that we have everything laid out correctly.
For the water main?
Yes, if that's the only thing we're bonding, which is my understanding.
Yep. Yeah, that's the only thing I have written down because, let's see. I was just looking for that. That's the street sweeper. That was that. Streets, oh, here it is. So the water department had radios, right? And the water main. Brian, is the radios going to be wrapped up into the bond, or are we going to say that that is paid directly from the enterprise fund?
That's gonna come out of the enterprise, but hold on one second, let me just look at that.
Okay,
Yeah, the water, the radios, the radios and the pickup truck that's in the water budget would be financed.
where's oh, the pickup truck.
Yes,
With plow.
yeah.
And can I ask a question on that? I guess for the pickup truck and with plow, do they need that? I forget what that was.
I don't,
It was
the
to replace,
conversation that night went on, what, 3 hours? So I sort of, that's a blur in my head. I don't remember.
I thought that one pickup truck was to replace. I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but
yeah,
it was replacing they were decommissioning 2 trucks and replacing with, or I'm sorry, yeah, taking 2 trucks out of service. So the supervisor truck was being passed down to somebody else, and this was going to be for Jason, I think.
yeah, I have it right here. That was, yeah, it was taking 2014 Super Duty pickup and replacing the foreman's 2002 service truck. Okay, so then that looks like that's gonna come out of the enterprise fund as well.
The payment will come from the enterprise fund.
Okay. But you are bonding that, right, or no?
I'm
No,
bonding
you're only
under
bonding the,
infrastructure, under an infrastructure note for the improvement project. And we're leasing to purchase or purchase by leasing the pickup truck and the radio system.
okay,
It's a dollar buyout lease in both of them.
okay. Okay, so are we ready to move forward and just vote?
We have the total amounts for each 4 areas. We're doing water, the DPW, fire, and then the free cash. Is that correct?
I would do each item individually.
Right,
Yeah,
but there's 4 different groups, correct?
Yeah, you got the free cash article.
We can
you
just
got
mention
the-
it in each of the, when we, like how it's going to be paid for,
Correct.
right?
And then the total amount, correct?
Oh, now I have to do math.
Well, I think, yeah,
I have them, numbers.
yeah, and for me, honest, being selfish and taking the minutes, it would be easiest if we have consistent person motions and seconds, so I'm not trying to figure out who's saying things. If we could determine who that would be.
Sure, okay. So let's start from the top. And motion to purchase, or is that what I want to say? Purchase for the town hall renovations?
Recommend,
Recommend?
Yeah.
Okay, so motion to recommend town hall renovations for 30,800.
Second. And you just use me for number 2, Dan. The second, all of them.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving on to the air conditioning for the police station. Recommend the air conditioning for the police station at 24,850.
Second.
Abstain.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Recommend the central school sewer connection for $100,000.
Second.
All those in favor? Oh, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. I'm going to skip the next two on the list and go directly to the tasers. For 21,000, recommend the tasers, $21,033.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Abstain.
For the police, 2 new police cruisers in the amount of $115,355.
Second.
Any discussion?
I had one question on that. In the past, like I had said, I have no problem voting for this, but we had always given one cruiser and one came out of their budget. So does this mean that we've basically given them a $60,000 per year push in their budget?
Well, their budget only went up 3% this year. So I don't have a source of funding another police cruiser in their budget. So meeting their labor requirement this year was, and I can send you over the police budget so you can see everything in it. But basically it's all labor and it's only a 3% increase. So there's not enough room in the police budget to accommodate the police cruiser. Personally, I'd love to have the police cruisers part of the operating budget, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. So the direct answer to your question is yes, Chris.
Thank you for the answer.
However, though, will we need 2 next year?
I'll send you over the cruiser replacement schedule. I thought he gave that to us in his presentation, Dan, did he not?
I get confused between finance and capital. He gave it to one of the two.
Okay,
think-
I'll make sure we send it over to you guys so you can see. I made him put together a cruiser replacement for a number of years looking forward. And of course, as you know, we included the idle time as a factor, which had not been done in the past. And I was actually rather impressed with the data he put together for us on that. So plus the fact, by the way, that cruiser prices went up 6%, plus you add another $3,500 for the
Hybrid.
hybrid, thank you. You know, so it's outpacing inflation, if you will. The price of an automobile is going ridiculous. So,
Okay.
Yeah, he did give us the replacement chart.
okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, moving down to the school for the smart boards. I recommend the smart boards for $83,112.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, for the school Chromebooks, recommend Chromebooks for $123,237.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, recommend Mitchell School auditorium lighting system for $53,257.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving down to the junior senior, recommended for the junior senior high school lecture hall video processor replacement at $10,695. Just as a note, this isn't meeting our 20,000 threshold, but it's something that needs to be done and is a capital item. So it's for $10,695.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, recommend the central school networking switches and UPS devices for $21,996.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, skipping over the rug. Video surveillance project, recommending for the IT, $84,441.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay. So all of that,
What about the 500,000 for the roads?
that was separate? Wasn't that, weren't we gonna vote on that separate, or we can, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll go back up to those two. I was doing all the items out of the first section, but, so the proposed 2019, well, I think it's 2021. Proposed road repairs, 501,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the street sweeper.
So the grand total for free cash is 1.169776.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so then.
can you say
extra-
that number one more time? Sorry.
It's 1,169,776.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's all the items we just talked about, including the paving. So moving to the street sweeper. So we recommend the DPW move forward with the purchase of a street sweeper for $249,500, utilizing to finance with Chapter 90 money over a period of 5 years.
Brian, do we have to vote on this for each 5 years?
No, actually, we don't. One of the things I have an uncomfortableness with is we're gonna buy a $250,000 piece of equipment. We're gonna finance it by using our Chapter 90 money for 5 years. And the only vote you're gonna see is this one.
Right. It's a long period of time.
What if chapter 90 doesn't give us anything next year?
That would be unlikely, but if it doesn't, you obviously can't finance it out of non-existent funds. So if you
Right.
can't finance it out of Chapter 90, you don't buy it.
So what would we have to turn it back in?
You default on the lease, but the lease is always for a municipality pending funding. So if the funding source dries up, the contract's void.
So, Brian, if John can take this out of chapter 90 money, do we have to take an actual vote on it?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
You
So
remember
we're
a few
basically
years
just
ago,
allowing him to do it?
you're not, in a weird sense. he
We're not
can do
even
it
letting him.
without- He can do it without your approval.
Right, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, here I am going all along. I understand everyone's concerns about it, but now I'm thinking he could do this without our knowledge. I mean, it would be on, I guess, the
I-
budget, but
I mean,
Yeah, but we had that problem a few years ago when he was buying some new trucks and we
yeah, the
we
trucks.
wanted to know about it.
well, I think we play by the rules. This committee knows, sees everything. How we finance it, we make sure in a public meeting like we're having right now, we talk about it so that we're not hiding anything. We're not trying to slip one through. And under the Massachusetts rules, this would be the last time you see this, because I will pull it off the warrant. It doesn't require town meeting authorization.
But do you have to show each year where that $55,000 goes?
No,
No. Not
No,
even,
because you don't put the chapter 90, it's a grant.
in essence, we accept chapter 90 money every year at town meeting. By accept, it says you could accept the money and you can spend the money. So we accepted the money and we spent it on a street sweeper. Done.
So this kind of goes against, for those of us all on the finance committee, it kind of goes against what we,
Transparency.
yeah, and it goes against too, when we found out about the leases before.
It's exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
but at least this time you know about it.
Yeah, this time I think he's trying to show us what he's doing.
Good.
yeah,
Right.
before he just bought the trucks, no one knew besides him and George. Do you know what I mean? So this way, I think that we should do some sort of a vote on it, that we agree with him doing this. And it's like Brian said, the public's watching this, so they have information about it.
I agree. I think economically it makes sense for the town, based on the financial projections that Brian outlaid. He's been transparent because he first came to the committee asking for us to finance it and then came up with an alternative method.
Yeah,
So I think we should vote on whether we recommend it or not.
right. I mean, just to, I guess, like you said, Dave, to get it out there to the public too. And good points, Dan, you know, he did come to us first. Okay. So I guess my motion still stands
Second,
to
Second.
recommend it.
for the 5 years payment out of the chapter 90 money,
Yes.
okay?
And then, yes, yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. So I guess we recommend it. It's more, that's all we're saying. So let's move to the fire truck recommendation, replacement for the tower truck. 1,250,000 to be paid for using the ambulance fund and is it the stabilization fund?
As a loan.
And as a loan, it will be paid back post haste. But around what, between 5 and 6 years?
Correct.
Okay,
And Brian, weren't there two figures for that if it was bought sooner rather than later?
Yeah, if it's bought in the special, it's 1.18. And if it's bought in the annual, it's 1.25.
so I guess, should we just, in the recommendation, say up to 1.25?
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
Excuse me. Okay, so do I have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Let's see. So then do we want to do the next three items, which are for the water? DPW, water? So four-wheel to recommend the four-wheel drive pickup truck with plow as a replacement for $45,000. This will be a loan or leased and paid for out of the water enterprise fund.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's moving on to this, recommending the SCADA radio system upgrades. And that is for 39,300.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go to the water main improvement project. And this is maintenance on the water lines for $1,070,605.
Second.
Okay, and this will be paid for out of the water enterprise fund.
Well, it'll be bonded with the bond, the payments coming from the enterprise fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, and any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Brian, the water total is 1.154905.
correct.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess that concludes the voting portion of our meeting. Well, it really doesn't. Did everyone get a chance to look at Dan's minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's vote on the minutes from March 18th. And I have a,
Of note on that one, I sent out a second version. If you didn't see it, I did not. It was our first go-to meeting, and I apologize. I didn't see Alyssa on camera, but I corrected that she was there with Dave Sheedy.
oh, okay. I don't think I saw that second one. But okay. So entertain a motion? Or a second?
Motion.
Okay, any
Second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And to vote on the minutes from March 25th.
Moved.
Motion.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor to accept?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Great. And does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Night.
night.